All right,
We
so we
got
got Vice Mayor Hayes on. I see Commissioner Kelly is on. See the mayor's on. Is Commissioner Cruz on and Commissioner Turkin?
See them on yet.
All right, we'll give it like 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I briefly want to go over a lawsuit that the city was facing. I just want to give kudos to the city's legal department as well as Rob Sniffen. The case with Tanil DeCosti, where we were being sued for an EEOC.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can
sir.
hear you.
Hey, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm just going over the lawsuit and dismissal, and just giving the
About time.
legal department kudos. This has been probably about 2.5 years. We got summary judgment today from a federal judge in the Southern District, fully dismissing the lawsuit. So it had zero merit. So that's that lawsuit's done now. So
Kudos, Shauna, Stacy, 96 Bulls, baby.
So I know we went through, or at least some of us went through, OIG investigation, Commission on Ethics investigations, multiple depositions. And so bringing some closure to that, I'm sure, is a relief for, I know Danielle Whitefield, myself, Andrew Mack, like Shauna. We really went through the mill and we did things the right way. So with that being said, if there's no comment on that, I'm gonna move forward. So we'll
I've
start
got
off.
plenty of comments, but I think for time's sake, I'll
Right.
Yeah. Who was that? Was that
Yeah.
Danielle?
No, it was Amy. Said right?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, right, Amy? I mean,
Yeah.
gosh, yeah, you know what? I do want to talk about this because this was, I mean, this was unjust, crazy, and this just goes to show that it all comes out in the wash. And, there's people that are on the right side of this, and there's people that were not. And I just think that, I just got to give my heart out to Andrew and Dan and Shauna and everyone else that and y'all's families who were negatively impacted by this. And you guys, stuck through it. You didn't quit. And when I say you didn't quit on the city, you didn't quit on the mission, you didn't quit on the residents, you didn't quit on the commission, and you put one foot forward and you did the right thing. And, I know we don't typically get, too involved, with lawsuits that are dropped or whatever, but, for me, this was, to see the direct impact on how it affected you guys, emotionally with your families. I mean, this just goes to show that, you do the right thing, you trust the process, and, what a huge win for the city. And, hopefully this chapter is over with. And, when you look at the last year, I think this commission, the city has really made leaps and bounds as far as progress. And, I mean, gosh, what a time. I mean, gosh, I remember. I mean, crazy how different it is, isn't it, Amy? Just the whole
Yes.
vibe and the culture. I mean,
Yeah.
completely different.
And I think it's, I hope that, it's, lessons learned to those, like, unfortunately for our staff that was dragged through the mud in this, the internet is here forever. And so now their names are dragged, even though everything was cleared and our staff was cleared and this lawsuit was dismissed, and there's because of there was no valid claims there. Though the internet and the news that, you know, threw it all out there and threw mud on them, it's there forever, and it's disappointing that's how that went along, and there were people that supported that. And so I just want to remind people, this is a lesson. Like this, this is our staff. These people love our city and work really hard every day, and we have to have their backs because they have ours every day. And so, it's disappointing that, their names got dragged through the mud on non-valid issues and stuff that, was unfounded. And it's disappointing. I'm glad that the truth came out, and we knew what we all felt how it was going to turn out, those that were in support of our staff. So I just those are my thoughts on it. I'm glad to hear our legal team fought really hard for this and didn't back down. And so great job. And sorry that our staff had to get dragged through the mud on it. So but yep, those are my thoughts.
No, I do appreciate all the support. Andrew, you can let Miko know that you're not racist.
Thanks, Dan.
All I want to say is just ditto to what's been said. Okay, we really need to move forward and be the city that we can be. All of this was just uncalled for, unnecessary, but like one of you just said, it all come out in the end. So I support it.
I can say one thing, that going through it was tough, but coming out on the other side of this, I think it's strengthened our team. It's made the city better. Not something I want to go through ever again, but I can tell you that we're better off on the other side of this.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna,
The only other thing I would just like to say, I just hope that there's some lesson learned in terms of when we hire someone to add a little more vetting of to our search criteria. I mean, look at more. I know we did our best, but let's not just take one person's word for it without doing our homework, if you know what I mean.
Definitely agree with you.
Yep. Okay, I'm done.
all right. Well, moving on. We got 3A we'll start with. We have the annual Magic Wheels and special deals event Thursday, February 5th at 5 p.m. at the Ezell Hester Community Center. We also have the annual barrier-free 5K event takes place Saturday, February 7th. Luckily, it's not this Saturday, where you could get some nice 30-degree weather to run in. That's going to be February 7th at 7:30 a.m. Starts at the Barrier Free Park over on South Congress. Hey, Chief DeGiulio, you feel I just have some questions about the overall. Are we going to be shutting down Congress Avenue, or are we going to have police presence over there during that 5K?
We're not going to shut down Congress. We'll just we'll give them a lane buffer as they make their way through their route. We've done it with similar things up on Seacrest. We just try not to shut down the road.
Okay.
Is it not going through Hunter's Run this year like it usually does?
I don't exactly know where it's going out completely, but the major road on Congress where they would come out at some point would be blocked off. Would be blocked off only as they're running the one lane.
Yeah, normally, I mean, I've done it several years, and we start at Barrier Free and we go right into Hunter's Run to that back entrance, and we go into Hunter's Run and then come back out. So yeah, I mean, it's like one little section that gets blocked off
Yeah.
to traffic, and then the Hunter's Run security people block off within their development. Like they have it all.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so public audience 5A, community support funds. I know Commissioner Kelly, you had briefly spoke to me last night about the Women's Foundation. I didn't know, did you want to give any funding to that group, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that probably at the next meeting. I got to talk to them and see what initiatives they have going on right now. And I know they've been doing a like a teen, they partnered with Boynton High School, Boynton Beach High, to do some teen workshops. And so I'm gonna get with them and see what their next big initiative is. But I'll know that for the next meeting.
Yeah, Mayor Shelton, you're giving $500 to the Boynton Beach Garden Club.
Correct.
Okay. Vice Mayor Hay, you have 3 separate contributions here. One to the Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida for $500. Pathways to Prosperity Mental Health Program and Services, $500. Pathways to Prosperity, $500. I'm sure Ricky Petty's going to be happy about that.
That's correct. That's correct.
And if Commissioner Cruz is on, you're providing $1,000 to Young and Faith. All right, so moving on to consent agenda. 6A is approving a permit application to the City Boynton Beach Police Department temporarily moving its radio system electronics into the county shelter at the public safety tower site. And this is just moving it from our previous old dilapidated site that we, I want to say we got $1 million in an appropriations from the federal.
Here's echo.
You haven't, I have an echo?
I don't hear an echo on you.
I
Dan.
don't hear an echo either.
I don't hear an echo
I don't
either.
either.
Okay, so you guys are good to go?
But I would, Dan, if you could blow that up a little bit, or whoever is doing the screen, just a tad bit. One more time. When you went the other way. That's good. That's good. Thank you.
No, it's bigger on mine. Is it bigger on your end?
Yeah, it did increase.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So yeah, this is just moving our communication equipment to another site and getting ready to move it on to our permanent new site. 6B is approving amendment to the letter agreement with a contract for bicycle and pedestrian focused initiative. This is with IPTM from the University of North Florida grant. They're tripling our grant from $5,000 to $15,000 for bike patrol and safety. So 6C is appropriation agreement between DEP and the City of Boynton Beach in the amount of $500,000 for the sanitary sewer collection. We got this C and also H. If you guys remember last year, we had $875,000 in appropriations given to us to the state of Florida. These are both those projects. It's going to be Bent Tree and Lime Tree, which is outside of our jurisdiction, but we're still responsible for the maintenance, maintaining the water equipment and also the sewer equipment that's out there. So this is going to help to repair some of those dilapidated subterranean infrastructures that are out. And we got $875,000 towards that repair from the state of Florida, free of charge. So that's definitely a win. 6D is going to be calling for so D, E, and F. I am going to allow Myrna or Candace, you guys want to speak on these 3 items? Feel free.
Well, that one's actually Maylee's D, E, and F.
Oh, Maylee.
Item. Yes.
These are all dealing with the upcoming referendum items that we're putting towards the referendum. and it's dealing with the language changes, residency, and I can't remember what the third one is. So both D, E,
The
and F.
third one on the canvassing board. These three are the same ones that we put forward every year. They're just, one is to approve the agreement with the supervisor of elections office for their part of it. One is for the canvassing board where the county is our canvassing board. And the other one is just calling for the general election for the three referendum questions.
All right, no questions. We'll move on. So 6G, that's the Pulte Cottage District Developers Agreement to share the cost of milling and resurfacing the full width of the roadways abutting the proposed development. Can you pull the map of that up if you don't mind, Candace, so you can see all the roadways that are being repaved? And
While you're pulling that up, we had a very exciting morning at the Cottage District, and it was great to see those houses complete and on their way. So it was very exciting this morning.
Absolutely was. A lot of happy people there this morning. Atmosphere was just perfect. A little cool, but it was okay. You keep moving. You keep moving.
That's right. The sun was
say
good.
a
If there
lot
wasn't
cool.
the sun, it was going to be bad. Yeah.
That's right, Amy.
All right, so these are the roadways that are going to be paved around the parcel, and you'll see them. So those are going to be all new paved roads in District 2. So
Beautiful.
yep. All right, you can go ahead and close out of that, Candace. We can move forward. Thank you, ma'am. All right, so where was I? I already went over H. That's Bent Tree, Lime Tree. Approved and authorized the mayor to sell 2025. This is our annual tree Arbor Day Foundation program, and Alana's been doing that annually now for a few years. So 7A on consent bids and purchases. We only have 2, which is the lowest in the last 3.5 years since I've been doing this that I've seen. So we have A and B. So one is the renewal agreement with the expenditures with Motorola for the continued maintenance and repair of the P25 radios, and that's not to exceed $200,000 annually for the next 5 years. That's for does that include both FD and PD, Chief, or is that just PD?
It's for both. It's for the dispatch.
Okay, all right. So 7B, that's all of our piggybacks. Can you open that up just so you can show all the renewals of our piggyback agreements? So there's Lori Lair, metal containers, and looks like a utility project for cured in place pipeline. Yeah. Are those the only 3?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Go and close out of that. We don't have any new updates on any of the second readings. These are all Josie's Restaurant dealing with their new location at 3047 North Federal Highway. So there's no new updates unless you guys have any questions on those. We can move down for the e-bike discussion. This isn't as a robust agenda like we had last time, where we were combining essentially multiple different agendas due to the holiday break. So discussion on a proposed e-bike ordinance. Did we mirror other municipalities off of this, Adam? Did we mirror this off a specific other city? And obviously this is up for discussion with the commission, and as far as any sort of amendments or input you guys have into trying to make this a safer environment for a lot of these, especially teenage kids and younger adults that are operating these e-bikes on roadways. We've all seen them.
Yeah, this is mirrored, yeah, similar to how other jurisdictions have done it, and I know that the city attorney's office had provided a memorandum to the city commission, I think earlier this month, providing some background statutorily and some provisions that we can adopt should we wish to move forward with regulating e-bikes within the city. Chief, do you want to? Is there anything that you want to add to that?
Have we had many incidents with the e-bikes in Boynton?
We've had a few traffic fatalities. As far as what the ordinance is reading, those particular incidents wouldn't be covered. The ordinance is basically saying e-bikes are going to be prohibited to be on sidewalks. And that's mostly from all the complaints we've been getting. There are a lot of concerns about our pedestrians and also concerns about the e-bike riders on the sidewalk traveling at a high speeds, cars pulling out in front of them. Thankfully, we haven't had any of those type of incidents, but our traffic fatalities with e-bikes have occurred because the e-bikes were traveling against the flow of traffic or violating some other traffic law, not specifically to the sidewalk. The sidewalk is more to address all the complaints we were receiving.
Yeah, what about,
What?
sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
I'm
Vice Mayor.
gonna ask about quickly and I'll get out the way here. What about those, I guess you call them e-scooters or whatever? I've gotten some complaints about those things, depending on the size, they can be just as hazardous as the e-bikes on the sidewalk. So are we looking into that as well, Chief?
Yes, sir. It's actually covered in the ordinance. I believe they're called, on the ordinance, they're called recreational devices, but it will include the micro scooters.
Okay, micro scooters. Yeah, that's becoming more and more of a challenge to us. You know, one passed by me and that thing was moving pretty good. If I had moved just a little bit to the left, it could have been disastrous for the bike, not me. I'm made of steel. But no, really, I think it deserves our looking into to make sure that we can be proactive in whatever fashion that we can.
The only thing that I'd add is not only does it cover the use and operation of these devices, it also covers the storage and parking of these devices, you know, making sure they don't block pedestrian access and things like that.
One other question
Chief,
I said
does
I
it,
would.
go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I said I wasn't gonna say anything else, but those e-bikes, they can't be like motorcycles and park in a parking space. Is that correct?
They're not supposed to be. They're not considered motorcycles. Unfortunately, the way the Florida state statutes look at e-bikes, they are considered bicycles as far as what the law states. So they follow all the bicycle laws. They do classify the e-bikes into class 1, 2, and 3s, and I believe 3s could look like a motorcycle, but generally they're not allowed to park in those spots. However, we all know that they do.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Amy, go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay, no worries. Chief, what is this? I mean, so has the statute been updated it's been updated to include e-bikes, right? So it classifies them as bicycles, is that, or is it still the
It's
same statute that talks about two-wheeled vehicles are considered bicycles or self-propelled?
So the state statute does address e-bikes and classifies them. However, the bicycle law pertains to the law as it relates to e-bikes, with the exception of if you're on an e-bike that can be 28 miles or higher, you're not allowed to be on a sidewalk. Any e-bike under 28 miles an hour can be, and I find that speed to be high. And I think if you got hit by, if you're a pedestrian, get hit by an e-bike doing 23, 24 miles an hour, you're going to feel it just as if it's doing 29, 30 miles an hour. And that's kind of where the state statute stops, and it allows municipalities to put more more restrictions in place. And we kind of looked at what the town of Palm Beach did a little bit when we started crafting the ordinance for your review and approval. But it's definitely, a draft, and it could be brought back and amended any way the commission likes. So this is just a starting off point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like e-bikes are kind of, because of the speed component, it's kind of like road cycle, the guys, the racers, or the professional and semi-pro and even just avid enthusiasts, who are going 29, 30 miles an hour on their bicycles, their man-powered bicycles. I mean, that's why we created these bike lanes and areas off of the roadway, so that, on most of the roadways, obviously, to provide that barrier for them, but also provide a safe sidewalk for people to walk who are, just walking. But does the statute address, is it the same as requirement, as far as lighting goes? Because I know we see a lot of e-bikes and e-scooters in the mornings, and they're not lit, and I mean, they're on the sidewalks, obviously, because it's safer than being on the road. And in the morning at 4:30, nobody's really on the sidewalk or on the road. So but most of them don't have lights. And so does the statute address in particular lighting requirements for
Hey,
e-bikes, or is
Co-
it?
Commissioner Kelly, I don't want to interrupt you. I gotta step off. My Aunt May has called me like 4 times, and I just want to make sure it's not an emergency. Andrew, can you
Okay,
take over for me for a couple of minutes, please?
I'm
Yeah.
not going to be too long,
All
and the
right.
chief and I can talk offline too if we need to wrap it up. So
Just quickly to answer your question, state statute talks about lighting requirements for bicycles. It'll apply to e-bikes as well, meaning they'll have to have a front and rear light.
okay. So I mean, this comes down to, I mean, we talked about this months ago about education, and we did some things, and then and the county did some things, and other municipalities did some things educational wise. And I think it, when we had some, incredibly sad, uh, deaths with, countywide, there was a big push for, educating, like that's kind of dropped off. And I feel like that's where, um, there is a disconnect. We're going to, whether we pass this or not, it's kind of like we go through the motions of having an ordinance, but if we're not educating the residents on, safety and how to do it right, what's the point?
Yeah, I think the
So,
ordinance is
I mean,
just one thing, and I agree with you. I think the education component needs to be in there as well. And we have been doing PSAs, and we've done some videos just recently. A lot of our initial enforcement with e-bikes, it was more of an educational, but I think that needs to be
right.
more educational from the parent level too, because a lot of these
Yeah.
operators that ride bikes are juveniles.
Yeah. No, and yeah, absolutely. Well, and their parents buy them as presents, and then, don't force them to wear helmets, and don't force them to put lights on, and because maybe they don't know, or they don't really aren't thinking about, what happens when you don't wear those things. So yeah, I mean, we can keep talking, but I think education is key. And no matter what we decide to do as a city, as far as an ordinance, we do have a responsibility to the residents to educate and to push out the statute that's already there, at the very least. So that's all I have.
Okay. If that's it, if there's no other questions, I think we're done. Any other comments before we end?
Yeah, I have a few comments on the meeting that we had Monday night. There were quite a few questions that the community brought up, some of which we didn't appear to have a good response to. I was giving some thought to that. Andrew, you weren't there, and I think Adam had to leave early. who was there? Candace was there, not Candace Wall, but from code enforcement. Are you on, Candace, from code enforcement? Probably not.
But
I think.
she's dealing with a family issue
Oh,
right
oh,
now.
oh, okay, okay. But I think there was some valid question that came out of that I think should be answered or looked into. I don't know who from the staff was in the meeting because I didn't kind of look around behind me. So I where do we stand on that? Are we doing any addressing of those types of issues that came up?
Well, isn't it limited to like just a few streets that there's not that parking on? Because I did have a conversation with some residents about it, and I have residents that have messaged me and want this ordinance change, but I think it's limited to just a couple streets that would need to be reviewed.
Yeah, so let me, I kind of want to take the lead on this conversation, and I'll tell you guys the crux of it, where we're at, and I'll tell you, I guess I don't want to say that it's going to be a hard no, but there's maybe some informal approaches that we can take. The commission was presented with an ordinance. That ordinance passed not one, but two readings unanimously. We did not take into effect back in, I want to say in October, November. We gave it a 4-month educational period all the way until February 1st. We've conducted multiple town halls, doing information as far as like what the expectations of the ordinance is. This was taken from multiple different municipalities. And I know from Carolyn Sims, Commissioner Hay or Vice Mayor Hay, you were there. I know Commissioner-elect McCray has reached out to me. And the issue is some of the streets in District 2 are narrowly designed, and they were smaller and they were built during the segregation periods. And what I would like to do is if we get consensus from the board tonight, is extend that educational period to March 1st. And I want to be able to come back and maybe present some administrative waivers or hardship waivers that we can kind of look at to where or we can maybe carve out an amendment where sections of the city, this new ordinance that we passed, it would be it wouldn't be logical to enforce it when the properties are so narrow and small and the streets are so narrow and small that we would have to essentially go in there and actually have the homeowner build out their property or essentially pave the entirety of their front yards just to be able to fit 2 or 3 cars. Now, typically a family of 4, a wife, husband, 2 kids, 3 kids. As those children get older, Andrew, you can attest to this. You have 4 kids. How do you? And I'm sure your property line is larger. And how many cars do you have at your household?
At any given time, I could have 4 for sure, and it makes it difficult.
So we have to look at some workarounds for that. I need about a month with staff so we can evaluate some things. What I don't want to see happen is I don't want to have to bring this ordinance back to the dais to do another first and second reading. And there was a lot of work that was put in both by the mayor, by Commissioner Turkin, and by the board as a whole on crafting this. So I'd like if you guys would give us probably about a 30-day window, or it's not, probably about a 32-day window before we can actually look at some stuff, and I can have some meetings with my staff and see what the appropriate approach would do. So if you guys would.
Well, I do think we need to extend the education simply because some people have not been notified. So I do agree with that.
Yeah, the other piece of that, Mayor, is like Dan was just stating, some of these houses were built during a period where I don't know whether the code was overlooked for that section of time, but trying not to go there. But I think that would work, Dan, what you just stated. Just kind of extend the period of education and try to work things out that would be beneficial to those people who are caught between the rock and hard place, because
And
it
also
wasn't,
remember, we had Miss Young talk about doing alternate street parking on those streets at one of our
yeah,
meetings. She came
yeah,
down and mentioned that.
yeah, yeah.
Well, and
And so,
I thought and I thought some of the streets we took off of we temporarily held, and staff would have to talk about this for that exact purpose, to look at evaluating streets that we could one way. And I thought that we had kind of taken those off of the table for now because of that, because it was going to take more time to figure that out, or come with some plans or, ideas and options. So I'm fine with
and
extending the time period. I think the more
I'm fine with it too, Dan.
Okay. I appreciate that from you guys. I got one more thing for you guys to consider. I just need a consensus. The parcel over on Nichols Boulevard that we were exploring, and the Palm Beach County Housing Authority auctioned their parcel off. We were going to, we had a buyer for our parcel. It's for $5 million. The commission decided against that. They decided to preserve that parcel and not sell it to become one single development with the same developer. I'm not sure who purchased that during auction, but we explored doing an environmental impact study, but then we looked at a deed restriction and it wasn't going to be developed. I can say that I've spoken to some of you, and there's been an idea that we could go beyond the deed restriction and look at doing a restrictive covenant on that parcel, so it can't be developed in the future. I know Commissioner Kelly, you've done that, and I know Commissioner Turkin, you've also done that with Harvey Oyer Park. Is there an appetite to go forward with this particular parcel so it soothes any sort of anxiety for any future development with some of the residents that came out during that time?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe
Me too.
I think we look at the language of what that's gonna include in the covenant. Maybe, tortoise sanctuary, there's a lot of development going on, and maybe there's an opportunity to, partner with DEP or some of these other organizations and, try to participate and be eco-friendly. And, I know there's some in Central Florida where they'll rehabilitate and relocate some of these tortoises to other places when you have projects coming out of the ground. So I don't know if this is an opportunity to complement that and have that here in Boynton. So for me, I'm okay to, do that and maybe look at even going a step further and incorporating this into a tortoise sanctuary.
My only, my hesitation is it's in the county. So, and it's zoned single family right now. So is the county going to work with us to allow us to do something like that? My whole position is, if we're not going to, the whole point of it coming from the county to the city was for future development because of the mall being right there and all that. So my thought is, if that's not the plan, and the plan is to, then why are we hanging on to property that is not, it's not in our city? So that means we have to go to the county for zoning. We'd have to go to the county for approvals on use and on all that stuff. So depending on the commission at the time, if they're not supportive of that, or they're not supportive of what we want to do on our property, then what are we that, do we really have the ability to do anything like that? Or do we just go back to the county and say, you want it, we want to preserve it, you preserve it, and you figure out what to do with it? Because it's not in the city, and although we own it, we can't right now it's zoned single family. We can't just turn it into a tourist sanctuary without the county approving that and allowing us to do something. And so, I mean, I'm kind of like, I can't make a decision on what I would agree to do without having conversations with the county on what they would allow us to do, because it's in the county. So, I mean, that's kind of
This
my
is-
thought on that.
This is just to put this as an item on the future agenda for discussion, and we could bring it to the dais and you guys could decide whether or not you want to explore those options. If it's not possible, then it's not possible. I agree with you, being it's in county jurisdiction, but the city owns it and it was donated to us. But I can tell you that Greg Weiss himself was out there essentially with those individuals
Yeah.
that were actively against any future development. So
No, I get it. I'm fine having this conversation, but we're not having this conversation in a future agenda meeting unless somebody from the city has spoken to the county about what they're going to, would even entertain any other options except leaving it as single family. Because if that's the case, then, I mean, then we don't even need, the conversation is over. They're not going to let us do anything. So, I mean, that's all I'm saying, is that because it's in the county, it's in a county pocket. We can have a conversation, but the county has to have been part of that conversation, or at least spoken to before, to see what they'll even entertain.
So I'm optimistic in that conversation. I think when you holistically look at all the development and development as an issue, not just in Boynton Beach, but in Palm Beach County and at the state as a whole, I think there's a huge opportunity where we already have the land. Yes, it's in the county, but I think, and I think the county, looking at this, it'd be advantageous for them to either maybe do a partnership, look at this, so then that way there is a synergistic way of preserving green space, right? You have the opportunity there to do that. Otherwise,
I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. Like, we just
yeah,
have
no,
to involve the
I
county.
get what you're saying.
Like, that's the
And I
conversation.
100% agree. I think there needs to be a conversation with the county about like, hey, what do you like? Because obviously there was the thought of like maybe the county buying it. That wasn't well received by the community, right? So I think from what I remember, there's a lot of pressure on preserving that space and keeping it in control with the city. Yes, it's in the county, and maybe that is just doing nothing with it, right? Maybe that's just doing nothing with it and leaving it as is, and we just move forward, and it is what it is. And if there is an ability to establish that legal mechanism to keep it, and or withhold it from being built on, that's an opportunity too. But I definitely agree. Like, let's have a conversation with the county. I don't think that conversation's solely just to look at preserving, the land for a certain species, but maybe incorporating it into, preservation of green space, which I think the county, ultimately, I think it's good for them too, to,
Yeah.
look at this as a preservation initiative, because
Yeah.
they're developing a lot too. So I think this could be a win-win for the city and the county.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay having the conversation. I agree. Currently, it's a liability for the city. I mean, I'll throw it out there. It's a junkyard, it's a dump, it's a homeless camp, it's a liability for the city. And so, I mean, as much as, yes, the animals are there, and I'm totally pro saving the animals. I have coyotes in my neighborhood because of all the development out west. So I'm but it's a liability for the city right now as it stands. They pulled out a trailer full of garbage, and there was probably 5 more trailers of garbage back there. So we have to figure out what to do with it. And if it does turn into some sort of preserve, it would have to be fenced in or something, because if it retains, because of the liability issues, because it's literally a junkyard back there.
So
So if you've
maybe
never been back there.
maybe there's an opportunity where we have that conversation with the county and transferring it, but striking some type of agreement where maybe it's not developed upon, they don't want to do anything, but now that liability, so to speak, or maintenance
Mhm.
accountability is on them. I'm not
Maybe we could swap
not-
it for Calusa Park.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah,
I
right?
think there's
Yeah.
opportunities. Obviously, they have their agenda initiatives, and
Mhm.
if there's something that's synergistic with our strategic plan, why not? I think I think we need to do something, and that
Yeah.
something is a conversation with the county, and maybe you get
Mhm.
those ideas, and then if it's something feasible and realistic, then let's bring it on the agenda and talk about it.
Right. Yep.
Versus
I agree.
versus I'd rather like hash this out now. Let staff go back to the county,
Yeah.
have those conversations, and then if there's something that has legs, let's discuss at a meeting.
I agree. I'm good with that.
Me too.
Okay. If there's nothing else, guys, this will conclude tonight's agenda review.
All right. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. Thank you,
Okay.
staff.
Yep.
Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
good night.
Have a
Have
good night.
Bye-bye.
Let staff go back to the county,
Yeah.
have those conversations, and then if there's something that has legs, let's discuss at a meeting.
I agree. I'm good with that.
Me too.
Okay. If there's nothing else, guys, this will conclude tonight's agenda review.